You fit the description. I didn't expect to get pulled over that day. But when you're a black man in a nice car, expectations don't matter. I had just left the DMV. Title in the glove box. Temporary plate on the bumper. A 2021 BMW 3 Series. Navy blue. My name on the paperwork. It was the first car I'd ever bought outright, no lease, no cosigner, no financing. Just me, the bank statement, and 2 years of saving. I was driving through a quiet neighborhood, tree-lined, upper class, too quiet when I saw the red and blue lights in my rearview mirror. Quick chirp. No siren. I pulled over immediately, both hands on the wheel. The officer approached slowly, right hand on his belt, left hand near the holster. He didn't ask if I knew why I was being stopped. He asked, "Is this your vehicle?" I told him yes. Gave him everything: license, registration, insurance. Even the printed title, still warm from the printer. He looked through them slowly, then walked back to his cruiser without a word. 5 minutes passed, then 10. I watched him in the side mirror. He wasn't checking the documents. He was on the radio, then on his phone. When he came back, he had backup. Another cruiser pulled up. A second officer stepped out, shorter, bald, twitchy. They stood behind my car, talking. Then they both walked toward me, hands low, ready. Step out of the vehicle. Is there a problem, officer? Step out, now. I did. They turned me around, asked me to place my hands on the hood. Didn't cuff me yet, just patted me down. What's this about? I asked. You fit the description of a suspect, one of them said. Description of what? A car theft in this area. I literally have the title, the bill of sale, my license. You can show that downtown, he interrupted. That was the moment. Not when they pulled me over, not when they searched me, but when they dismissed my proof like it meant nothing. That's when I realized they didn't care what was true. They already decided who I was. They placed me in the back of the cruiser. It wasn't until I was inside that I noticed. The second officer was searching my car. Not politely, not respectfully. Glove box yanked open. Trunk popped. Floor mats lifted. He found nothing, of course. But I watched him check my daughter's car seat like it might explode. I sat in silence, sweat running down my back. The plastic seat was hot. My hands were numb. One officer took photos of the car. The other radioed something I couldn't hear. I watched a woman walk her golden retriever past the scene. She didn't look at me, just crossed the street. 25 minutes in, they finally let me speak. You're free to go, the taller one said. No apology, no explanation. Your paperwork checks out. I stepped out of the cruiser. Can I ask what exactly the description was? Black male, Navy BMW, around 30s. That's your entire description? He shrugged. You're lucky you had your papers. I stared at him, then said, No, I'm lucky to be alive. When I got home, my daughter ran up to me. Daddy, you said we'd go to the park. I hugged her. I didn't tell her what happened. Not that day. But I looked at my wife, and she saw it on my face. I had bought freedom. But they still saw me as property. Paper doesn't protect you. When I got to work the next day, I told myself not to bring it up. I didn't want to be that guy, the one who always has a racial story. But the silence made it worse. I sat in my cubicle, replying to emails, but my head kept flashing back. The officer's hand near his gun. My daughter's empty car seat being tossed. And that phrase. You're lucky you had your papers. At lunch, I mentioned it to Cole, the only other black engineer in the department. He didn't look surprised. Was it the BMW? He asked. Probably. You remember that time in Jersey? I got detained outside my own apartment? Keys in the door. Still got cuffed. We laughed. But it wasn't funny. We both knew there's no paper thick enough to protect us from assumptions. That night I told my wife everything. I didn't sugarcoat it. When I finished, she just whispered, "You're not going out alone anymore." I said I didn't do anything wrong. She said, "That's not what keeps you safe." The next morning, I found a note under my windshield. Nice car. Who'd you steal it from? No name, no handwriting I recognized, just taped to the glass with Scotch tape. At first, I stood there stunned. Then I looked up. A white neighbor across the street stood watering her lawn. She saw me notice. She didn't flinch. Didn't wave. Just kept watering. Later that week, I got a call from someone at the county police department. "Just following up on the field stop from Monday," the voice said. "Why?" I asked. "Standard procedure." "What's standard about being searched for owning my own car?" Silence. "Then, you're not under investigation. We're just closing the incident." Was there even an incident? 2 days later, a letter came in the mail. Not from the police, from my employer. It said, "We are conducting an internal review related to community reports received about your conduct and police contact. You are being placed on paid leave until the review concludes." What reports? I'd done nothing wrong. But the word had spread. They didn't say you're suspended. But they didn't say we believe you either. By Friday, my name was in a neighborhood Facebook group. Someone posted, "Anyone know why the guy with the BMW was pulled over?" The comments exploded. "Looks shady. Doesn't live here long, does he? I saw him driving real slow a few weeks ago. Cops don't stop you for no reason. It's always the loud ones crying racism." I showed it to my wife. She scrolled in silence. Finally, she said, "They're building a case in their heads. Doesn't matter what's true." Then she whispered something that stuck. "If they believe the worst, they'll create the rest." I called my lawyer. He said, "You weren't charged. There's no arrest, no official misconduct." I said, "Then why does it feel like I'm being punished?" He paused, then told me, "Because you are." Quietly, informally, systemically. Suspicion is a sentence. When you're a black man in America, being right doesn't clear your name. It just makes people angry that you proved them wrong. On Monday, I checked my work email. There was a message from HR. "We've received multiple inquiries from the community regarding your behavior. While no disciplinary action has been taken, we are continuing to monitor the situation." I hadn't said a word to anyone except Cole, but now I was a situation. Later that afternoon, the principal of my daughter's school called. He said another parent complained about me driving aggressively in the school zone. I asked what exactly that meant. He paused, then said, "We're just asking all parents to be mindful of how they drive." Mindful? I'd driven the same road for 2 years, never once over the limit. But now I was a risk. That evening, I tried to go for a walk. Headphones in, hoodie on. Just needed space. About 4 blocks from my house, a woman crossed the street when she saw me. She clutched her purse, looked over her shoulder twice. I didn't even register it at first. But then I realized I was wearing the same hoodie I had on the day the cops stopped me. The same navy blue hoodie from my college years. The same one in the video. Because yes, someone had filmed it. The traffic stop. Me on the hood. The officer rifling through my car. They'd uploaded it to some neighborhood group, then Reddit, then TikTok. And the caption? When you think money erases your skin color. By Wednesday, strangers were messaging my wife, telling her I was probably lying. One person wrote, "He was probably trafficking or something. No one gets pulled over like that for no reason." She didn't show me until the third one came in. Then she broke. "I want to move," she whispered. "This place, it's not safe. Not for you." The next morning, I went to start my car. The windshield was cracked. Across the driver's side a spiderweb impact, and on the hood written in marker, "Hey, get out." I called the police. This time I filed the report. The officer was polite, too polite. But when I mentioned the previous stop, his tone shifted. "Oh, that was you," he said, as if I'd just confirmed the rumors. I asked if they'd check cameras. He said, "Probably no footage. Most houses here don't register their systems. So nothing's going to happen? We'll file it. But unless someone confesses." He didn't finish the sentence, just handed me the report number. By the weekend I couldn't sleep. Not from fear, or from pressure. From the weight of being watched, judged, suspected even after proving my innocence. And worst of all, my daughter started asking questions. "Why don't we go to the park anymore? Why did you get a new car and stop driving it? Why are people mad at you?" I didn't have answers, because truth didn't matter anymore. Perception had already decided my fate. The system responds, silently. The day the subpoena arrived, it didn't come by email. It came by knock. 8:13 a.m. My daughter was eating cereal. I opened the door in sweatpants and a t-shirt. A man in a gray vest handed me an envelope and said 3 words. "You've been served." Inside, a lawsuit. Not from the police. Not from the city. From a local homeowner, the same one who filmed the traffic stop. He was suing me for defamation and emotional distress, claiming my public narrative had caused him to receive threats online. "I only recorded what I saw," he wrote. "Now I can't walk my dog without fear." Not a single mention of the fact that I never published his name. Not once. He wanted $75,000 in damages. My hands shook as I held the paper. My wife walked in and stopped cold. "Is that real?" I nodded. "Hook, hook, hook, hook." I called my attorney. He sighed through the phone. "These lawsuits are tactical. They want to drain your time, your money, your peace." But he recorded me. And now he says he's the victim. Welcome to counter-surveillance. My employer didn't wait long. They called a mandatory internal hearing. I sat at a long table, across from a panel of HR and legal reps. Not one looked me in the eye for the first 10 minutes. "We're concerned about reputational exposure," they said. Reputational, not legal, not ethical. Just optics. They didn't fire me, but they suggested voluntary leave while things cooled down. I refused. That night my keycard stopped working. I appealed. My lawyer filed motions against the lawsuit. I began documenting everything: the videos, the hate messages, the windshield. I even gave an interview to a local journalist. She asked if I thought race played a role. I said, "I don't think I was stopped because I'm black. I know I wasn't believed because I'm black." The quote made it into the article. And then everything exploded. Social media picked it up. Some called me brave. Others called me race-baiting trash. Someone found my old college photo and posted it with, "This clown's been looking for attention since freshman year." A YouTube channel made a reaction video titled, Engineer lies about police to get famous. 500,000 views. By Friday, I received an anonymous email. No subject, just 2 lines. You're making things worse. Go back to where you came from. And attached a photo. My driveway. At night, taken from across the street. That was the first time I thought about buying a gun. Not out of anger. Out of fear. But I didn't. Because part of me still wanted to believe that if I stayed calm, stayed clean, stayed quiet, something would protect me. My daughter's school called. They said another parent had requested she be moved to a different class. She doesn't feel comfortable, the principal explained. Comfortable with my daughter? She believes the environment is too politically charged right now. My child, 6 years old, losing friends because of me. That night, I sat on the floor of the living room. Lights off, just me and the quiet. My wife joined me, said nothing, just held my hand. And I said the one thing I never thought I would say in my own home. I'm scared. You can be right and still be broken. I used to believe that truth was enough. That if you had your facts straight, your documents ready, and your conscience clean, you'd be okay. But now I know. You can be right and still be ruined. The day of the hearing came. Not a courtroom, just a cramped municipal building downtown 4 stories above a parking garage. Fluorescent lights, plastic chairs, a whiteboard no one used. I was called to testify about the incident. The incident that never became a case. The one where I was detained, not arrested, searched, but not charged. Tell us what happened that day, the woman in the gray blazer asked. So I did. I told them about the stop, about the title I printed, about the officer who never apologized, about the lawsuit from the man who filmed me and sued me for being in his frame. And when I finished, she looked up and said, "We appreciate your testimony. We'll be in touch." That was it. I walked out feeling weightless and sick. My lawyer said I did well. But he didn't look convinced. He'd seen the pattern before. They'll delay, they'll deflect, they'll dissolve it quietly. 2 weeks passed. No updates from the board. No resolution from the lawsuit. My keycard at work still didn't function, but the letters didn't stop. Neither did the comments online. And then, one night, my daughter asked if we were moving. "Why do you ask that?" I said. Because Mommy was crying and packing things. My wife had made a choice. One I wasn't ready to admit I needed. We sold the car. Moved 3 towns over. Rented, not bought. Started over. No goodbye to the neighbors. No party. No closure. Just gone. In the new place, I kept my head down. No BMW. No interviews. I rode the bus to work and told no one my story. I became the quiet man in the back. The one people didn't notice. And in a way it felt safer. But sometimes I still wake up in a cold sweat. Still feel the weight of his hand on my shoulder. Still hear the words. You fit the description. And I wonder how many others have heard the same line and never got to walk away. Months later, I stood outside a grocery store, just watching people pass. A young man, maybe 20, stepped out, keys in hand, walking toward a used Lexus. He looked like me. Same build, same skin, same nervous glance over the shoulder. And when a cruiser pulled into the parking lot, he froze. I saw it in his posture. But wait. I walked over slowly. Said, "You good?" He looked at me like I was speaking a secret language. He nodded. Oh, then said, "You ever get the feeling they're waiting for you to make one wrong move?" I didn't answer. I just said, "Keep your head up, drive safe, and know you're not crazy." He smiled, barely, then drove off. They say America is a land of laws, of rights, of protections. But no one talks about the gap between what's written and what's lived. No one tells you that the burden of proof doesn't fall on the state, it falls on your skin. I didn't steal that car. I didn't lie. I didn't resist. But I still lost a job, a home, a life. All because I fit.